Hello, and welcome to ShySpace, where we talk about all things pertaining to mental health and manifestation. If anybody happens to be new here, my name is Shy. I am the host of this podcast, and I'm really excited. This is our first official episode. The short clip that I released last week was the trailer, if you will. And if you listened to that or supported that in any way, I just want to say thank you so much. I genuinely cannot put into words how grateful I am for everyone in my life who has been so kind and so supportive. Even if you're somebody that maybe we're not super close, but you're supporting my podcast in one way or another, you have no idea how much I love you. So thank you. I hope that you're having a great day wherever you're listening from and whatever you're doing, whatever day it is for you. I'm wishing you lots of good vibes. Today is going to be our episode on the laws of the universe. This is really a great way to start understanding how the law of attraction can be applied in your life and breaking down some of the more mystical aspects of it that can be a little bit confusing, a little bit difficult for people to fully understand and be willing to embody. In some perspectives, this topic is just a bunch of BS, which is totally understandable. I mean, I am a scientific girl at heart, but that's why I love all this. That's why I think this is a great way to kick things off by talking about actual scientific laws of the universe, how they operate, and how they're impacting our lives, because they are every single day, whether or not we know it. It's better to know what these laws are that are governing our experience, right? Don't you want to know what the hell that thing is that is impacting you in some way? Because I do. I think that's also why I'm a little bit more into spirituality than I am a religious person, because I really like facts. I have anxiety, so I like to see things that are concrete that I can lean into when I'm not sure about something. That's why I like to read Joe Dispenza, because he will bring scientific evidence into play with this conversation and have research studies that are done with numerical data where you can see the positive change through a statistic, some type of percentage of increase or a decrease in some negative ailment. I am excited to break down the mystical side of it because I want people to be able to look at this and be like, okay, this isn't a bunch of spiritual, weird stuff that Cheyenne or anyone else is just making up. It's real. It's here for a reason. I'm talking about it for a reason. So, anyways, I'm going to talk about 6 of the universal laws today. There are 12 total, but we're just going to highlight the top 6. First thing that we want to understand about the laws of the universe is, what are they? They have all originated from source, God, divine, the universe, whatever you want to call it, whatever you're comfortable with. They have come before us. So they were not invented by Isaac Newton or something. It's been discovered, like the law of gravity. You don't invent gravity, you just discover the law and then you live your life in alignment with it. The same goes for the laws of the universe that are a little bit more metaphysical. Understanding that these laws govern the mind is essential if you want to harmonize with the money frequency. And that is why I'm so adamant about this conversation, because vibration and laws impact your financial abundance or your financial abilities. They essentially are the way that we describe how we operate within this time-space reality. I think that some people might not be aware of the fact that when we refer to our universe as this time-space reality, we don't really conceptualize from the forefront that there are so many different dimensions of what's happening right here in this quote unquote reality. There's so many different versions of us out there that are experiencing things at another vibration, but all exists in one, which is really difficult to understand. I feel crazy even trying to explain that. I probably should have a little bit more concrete information that I'm leaning on to try to explain this. But I think that for the most part, if you're listening to this, you are advanced enough in your thinking and in your mindset and perspective on life that you understand that there are laws of the universe that we are all being impacted by all the time. Something that I love that I learned from Bob Proctor is that if you want to win a game, you must first learn the rules of the game. And I just think that's a funny way to look at life. Like, this is a game. You can learn the rules, you can learn how to have a leg up above other people, and you can live your best life. People don't want to accept that sometimes. They want to believe that suffering and struggling and all these things is required It's not. Focusing on the bad is not a requirement to life. It's not a requirement to success. In fact, it's inhibitor to success. I think a lot of people can find difficulty in understanding the way that I perceive life because I, like I said in the trailer, like to live in Delulu. I will ignore things. I will avoid things. Sometimes it's not the best approach, but a lot of the times it is because if I'm focusing on something that I don't want, I'm headed in the wrong direction in terms of what I'm attracting. That is the bottom line. If you want to win the game, you must first learn the rules. So here are some of the rules. Spirit operates by law. I don't care if you don't think that you're a spiritual being, you are. You cannot die. That is my favorite thing that Abraham Hicks teaches. And this is probably going to ruffle some feathers. Yes, you can die in this lifetime, but we are eternal beings. There are so many lifetimes and so many things out there that we don't understand. But, anyways, spirit operates by law. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. So, if spirit operates by law and we are spirit at our very core, then we need to operate by law as well. The law of divine oneness states that everything is connected and nothing is truly separate from one another. That is what I was trying to reference earlier when I could not even explain the fact that we're on different timelines, having different experiences of our future selves and our past selves. If you study anything about time and space and metaphysical quantum worlds, they always talk about how everything's happening all at once in one timeline. There is no future and there is no past. It's just this concept in our minds that we think about. It's the same thing as thinking about those negative realities that do not exist or have not manifested yet, but then we create them. By operating with the law of divine oneness, it means that you are always connected to your higher self and the infinite versions of yourself that exist across different timelines. Everything is energy, right? Everything is connected. This microphone that I'm speaking into, this is energy. If you were to take a little tiny piece of this foam on it and put it under a microscope, you would see the cells of it vibrating at its very core. We are energy as human beings. The colors that are emitted from the brain and from the body in those medical scans, like MRIs, because there's energy vibrating within us at all times and they vibrate at different frequencies. So they emit different colors, which you can learn about on the UV scale or whatever it's called. Hopefully, everyone here knows that I'm not some scientist. I am just a girl. I want to talk about the law of vibration. The law of vibration states that everything in the universe is made up of energy and has its own vibration. So I just mentioned that, right? We are all energy. When we change our vibration, we can change our lives. And that is kind of the very base of the law of attraction, which is why I'm talking about this one first. Our body is nothing but an absolute massive energy. And all we need to do is learn how to direct this energy. Your thoughts are so powerful in their energy. And that's why people struggle because the thoughts are the most difficult to focus the energy with. It's a lot easier to go and take an action with your physical body than it is to stop thinking about that thing that is driving you crazy or stressing you out or bringing you down, which is why we tend to always live and create the same circumstances for ourselves because it's so easy to let our minds run rampant with these negative thoughts and not discipline them at all. And then we're like, why am I still miserable? Why am I still overweight? Why is my bank account still in the negatives? Why? Vibration, baby. So we want to talk about the different emotions that emit vibrational frequencies. This should go without saying, but negative emotions are low vibrational emotions. Positive emotions are high vibrational emotions. Anytime we are existing in a positive emotion, we are emitting a higher frequency, a higher vibration that aligns with our higher source. It aligns with the laws of the universe and the laws of vibration, which is when we are able to manifest and attract things into our life as easily as one can conceptualize. The emotions that you really want to always be focused on and be bringing yourself back to when you start to spiral and go down that negative path are the emotions of love, gratitude, joy, prosperity, appreciation, abundance. Anything that makes you feel good is the ticket to success. It seems so easy that people, myself included, do not want to just embody that concept and then call it a day. Because realistically, if we wanted to just make things short in what I'm teaching you, make sure you feel good all of the time and your life will be good. I shouldn't say all the time because bad things do happen, but I still believe that bad things are good because they are part of a greater good and a greater path. And contrast teaches us to appreciate what we have and to know what we want. So maybe I should say that if you feel good all the time, your life will be good all the time, because truthfully, that is how I feel. I experience things that I wish that I hadn't, and I have circumstances in my life that I would like to change. But when I really think about it from the whole perspective, sometimes I'm like, I don't even really know if I should try and change that about my life, because then what else am I reaching for? If I don't have something to reach for, if I don't have a new goal to go after, there's no purpose to my life. So I shouldn't want everything to be so rushed and so complete, because then where is the journey? And that doesn't speak to things that I know are really, really horrible, like death and illness and things like that. Like I said, my belief system is not for everybody, but I also still believe that those things are good. So call me crazy, call me whatever you want. When we talk about the law of vibration, everything you see, smell, taste, touch, feel, and experience is comprised of an energy that is constantly vibrating. Your sight is actually a transformation of vibration. I'm not sure if I'm saying that the way that I feel is most accurate, but one of the things that is more difficult for me to conceptualize is how a smell could be a vibration, but I've just learned to accept it. I've just learned to be okay with not knowing everything in full detail and knowing what I don't know. I love to say, I don't know what I don't know. I'm always open to possibility. Right now, I'm in the process of manifesting a very large sum of money. And I think the hardest part for me has been fighting my logical brain, because it wants to try to align with how it's going to happen and how it's going to show up in my life, so that I can get really excited about it in that level of detail, because detail is good when you're trying to manifest. But I have to be okay with the fact that I don't know how many possibilities there are for the ways that random large sums of money can come into your life. I mean, you hear about them all the time, but your analytical and pessimistic mind is just going to say that those things only happen once in a blue moon, and that's not the kind of luck you have, and all those things. That is what I'm actively working to drop all of the time by doing this exercise and manifesting this check or this direct deposit, whatever it's going to be. I'll keep you guys posted on that. I've done it before in smaller increments. So this is really a challenge for me. It's really a test to my practicing of what I preach. This podcast is good for me in that regard. You have to raise your vibration within yourself to become a match to the vibration of what it is that you want to attract. I mentioned earlier about how money is frequency, money is energy, and understanding the laws governing the mind, the laws of the universe, is essential if you want to harmonize with the money frequency. This is why it's so important to understand emotion, vibration behind emotion, and what you're doing when you're allowing yourself to feel a certain way. Because I want to be sensitive when I say this, because I understand the mental health struggle, and nobody can tell me that I don't. I struggle with my own emotions every single day. It is a constant battle. It is a full-time job to stay on a high frequency and stay in a positive vibration. But there are no excuses. You can struggle as much as you want, but there is always a choice. It's just a harder choice than others have to make. I am saying that with the utmost respect, empathy, and understanding for the mental health struggles that are out there. But I also know how powerful our minds are. When you implement the right tools into your life to help you rise above those challenges, you can get there. It's not going to be perfect and it's not going to be easy, but you can get there. I'm saying that with literally every fiber of my being of belief. The person that I was 5 years ago is unrecognizable to the person that I am now. I don't think the same way. I don't act the same way. I don't even look the same way, in my opinion. There's nothing to me where I feel connected to that past version of myself, because I have spent so much of my time rewiring my brain. I understand that the world is full of different emotions and sensitivity levels, so I never want to discount that. Another good high vibrational emotion that I like to live in is acceptance and peace. Living in a state of peace and acceptance is a whole other ability to manifest, in my opinion. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I have been working to manifest something or attract an outcome or a different mindset. And the second that I just decided that I was completely okay and completely content with where I was at, and accepting that I was going to get where I was going no matter what, it didn't matter the pace, things started to show up like that. I remember this is so embarrassing, but I remember I was wishing that I would get a text from somebody, and then I just had this moment where I was standing in my kitchen and I was like, you know what? I don't even need to hear from them. It's just my ego that wants that. And I'm completely fine with where things are at. I think I got a text within an hour of that. I think it was 30 minutes. It was crazy. I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. Living in a state of acceptance is amazing. I have this rant that I need to share the link to, and it's an Abraham Hicks rant. And I listen to it every single morning when I wake up. I'm not kidding. Every morning, as long as I'm not sleeping somewhere else and I'm home and I'm in my space, I will listen to this rant and it sets me in such a good mindset. And it just reminds me how important it is to feel good all day, every single day. And so I'm constantly asking myself how I'm feeling. If I'm not feeling good, I'm realizing that I'm separated from my higher self and that I'm completely separated from source and that I'm not attracting things and I'm not headed in the right direction. And I correct by changing my thoughts or my thought pattern or whatever I'm focusing on. If I can't get it to a better thought process about the subject at hand, say I'm thinking about money and I'm trying to be positive, but I just can't because I'm freaking out about how much I spent last weekend or something, then I will just completely change the subject. I'm like, London. Sweet little London. She is a perfect thing to focus on whenever I feel my vibration starting to tweak out. I also step out in nature, do whatever, but we'll talk more about that in my next episode, which will be habits that help with manifesting. If you ever find yourself wondering what the quickest way to manifest is, literally do not allow yourself to feel any negative emotion. That's my life hack. The low vibrational emotions that will really prevent you from attracting things that you want to try and stay out of and be really cognizant of are fear, anger, despair, anxiety, greed, doubt, defensiveness, judgment, anything of the like. And you need to know that when you feel bad, you're disconnected from source and you're headed down the wrong side of the stick. You're headed to what you don't want rather than what you do want. Turn around and think about something that makes you happy. I know it sounds like it's really hard, but it's actually not. Once you get the hang of it, once you start to become the observer of your thoughts and you actually embody that concept that you are the observer and not the creator of your thoughts, they just come and you observe them and you decide this one is not so good. So we're going to shift things. Next, let's talk about the law of attraction. The law of attraction is the law that states that that which is like unto itself is drawn. It means that like attracts like, which is why we're so busy ranting about the need to raise your vibration so that you are in alignment vibrationally with your desires. All the things you want in life, you want because you think they're going to make you feel better, whether it's more money, a relationship, a better body, a better home, a better job. Those things are always going to be in a high vibrational state because they are better. They're higher up on the vibrational frequency, which means you have to align with that. Anytime you're thinking about something and you get into that low vibrational emotional state, you're not in alignment with the vibration that your desire is in, or your goal or your objective. You have to know that's not helping you get there. This goes from tangible to intangible concepts. It's a universal law. It governs everything, including the mind. You should never assume that you cannot attract a person into your life because I can tell you that you very well can. Don't ever limit yourself to what you're able to achieve. The concepts behind the law of attraction is really why people seem to have good streaks or bad ones. Like, oh, this person's on a lucky streak. They've had so many good things happen to them, or vice versa. It's because they are on that vibrational frequency and they're staying there. So more things are happening of the same frequency. Your energy is always attracting situations, events, and experiences that are a direct match for your energy. So if you get in a little fender bender and you just freak out about it, and then you're just in the worst vibrational state over it, and you're just complaining and freaking out and having a horrible mindset about it, and then you get home and you see that somebody smashed your window in your apartment or something. You made the choice to focus on all the negatives that came with the fender bender rather than focusing on the positives, which I could name a few. You didn't total your car. You didn't die. If you're driving home, then you are doing much better than most people when they get in car accidents. It probably improved your desire to be alive or reminded you that life is precious, which is always a good thing. I don't know. That's enough for me. I got in a car accident at the beginning of this year and I totaled my car. It was as I was driving to Texas. I was in El Paso, Texas at 4 a.m. and I got in a car accident and bunch of the airbags went off. My car was totaled. I had to sit there for hours. It was a brutal experience. And it was really hard for me that day to shift my mindset because I started the day crashing my car. And then I had to drive 8 hours to my new home in Dallas in a rental car. It would have been really easy for me to let that absolutely destroy my day and potentially even destroy a lot of my future experiences. But I allowed myself to be upset about the situation as much as any human being deserves. And I immediately shifted towards thinking about the positive. I remember I was with Fallon because we were caravanning on this drive together and we were just talking about what kind of car I was going to get. It wasn't even a thing. It was like, okay, well, new car. So what kind of car? Just focusing on as many good things as we could. When I drove that 8 hour drive, I called my grandma, I called my parents. I just focused on the positive. I'm alive. London is alive. I was able to get a rental car. I am still on my way to Dallas. I'm still going to make it and get in my apartment. This is not going to bring me down. This is not going to ruin my experience. And honestly, it made my experience 10 times better because I found out so much about myself that day. Is there room for improvement in how I approach that situation? Of course, there's always going to be. And that day really showed me that I can handle things. I can go move to a different state, be far away from my family, and get in a car accident and still get help from them and be able to make decisions on my own and get my ass together and get to Dallas. It seemed possible when it first happened. Right when I got hit, my mind started racing. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? This is so much. It's awful. And then I just was like, no, we're not doing that. You know what happened after that? It's funny because I had been manifesting a new car before I moved, but I had no resistance to the idea and absolutely no desires associated with the idea. I wasn't like, I really want this new BMW. I was just like, I really want a new car and I'm excited to get one. And then after that, I got the rental handled. Everything was good with insurance. I was able to have a rental for as long as I needed before I got a car, which actually ended up being an amazing car. It's a newer car than the one that I had. I got so much money from insurance, I was shocked. Then my amazing parents were kind enough to cover the difference of the funds that we had been given from insurance to the funds that were required to buy a nicer car for me, literally just out of the kindness and pureness of their heart. If you know my parents and you know my family, you know that they're very generous, but they've purchased me a car before and I had just totaled it. So they had no rhyme or reason to want to do that for me. And there's no other evidence to support my deserving of that. I am a good person and I am a good child, but I don't feel that I deserved for them to just purchase me a nicer car because they felt like doing it. And they did. And I just know that it was because I was just living in such a positive vibration and such a positive frequency about the whole experience. I didn't care what kind of car I got. I was just grateful that I was going to get to have a car. I kept saying how much I just appreciated the ability to drive and how I appreciated that I was alive because I was so scared every time I got in the car after that. I focused on nothing but good things, and that good vibration, that good feeling, that good energy, it spilled over into my parents and they just wanted to help me without anything in return. I'm really lucky to have that. My parents are amazing and they go above and beyond for me, but that's not something that I expected them to do. I don't think my mom even expected that she was going to do that either. The important thing about the law of attraction too, like what I'm talking about right now with this example with my car, is to remember that you have to change your energy and your vibration through the thoughts that you think that make you feel good, that make you say to yourself, yes, I am aligned with my true self with that thought. So thoughts like, I don't even need a car. I'm just grateful that I am alive. I don't care what car I get. I'm just grateful that I get to have a car. Things like that. State of acceptance, state of peace, state of appreciation, a state of gratitude, a state of joy, a state of love for life. Look what came out of that situation for me. There's a method to my madness, I'm telling you. I have outlined the 5 steps of the law of attraction that are laid out by Abraham Hicks. I feel like I need to go into this a little bit deeper in the next episode when I talk about habits that help with manifesting, because this is very specific to the law of attraction, but I want to lay them out for you guys. Step 1 is that you ask for something. I would like this new experience, new person, new thing. Step 2 is source answers and starts to work behind the scenes to get you this outcome. Step 3 is that you line up with that energy as much as possible so that you can let the answer in of how it's going to come into your life when there are steps needed on your end. You meditate, you align with your higher self as much as possible, and you journal and you do all those things that keep you balanced and grounded in a positive mindset, because that's when the impulses and the intuition starts to come in through source and through spirit. You start to get these ideas that you wouldn't be able to receive prior. You'll get an idea to go out and sit at this random coffee shop on a Tuesday morning and do some work, and you never go to coffee shops. And then while you're at the coffee shop, you strike up a conversation with a stranger and you end up signing a huge deal with that person because you found out that they were in need of the services that you offer as a consultant. And then you just know. Similar things have happened to me where I just get an impulse to do something. I don't know why. I end up in a conversation with somebody and it turns into something amazing. Step 4, as you get really, really good at this alignment and releasing resistance. Step 5 is that you're back in step 1 because you're asking for more and you're having to start the process over again. The difference between step 5 and step 1 is that in step 5, you're not mad at yourself for wanting something or feeling negative emotion or focusing on the contrast because you understand the value of contrast. Let's talk about the law of assumption. The law of assumption states that by believing the thing you already want exists in your life, you will be able to manifest it into existence. This is essentially the idea behind speaking things into existence, which is something that I'm really adamant about. I like to try and always speak with the end in mind and speak as if things have already happened. For example, I am attracting this large sum of money, or I have manifested, rather than saying I am trying or I am going to. It is already done, babe. You're just catching up to speed with it. And once you catch up to speed with it, it will be present in your physical reality. That is also something that we'll talk about in more detail on next week's episode in regards to the habits that help with manifesting. I really want to dive into subjective examples about that and how you can speak with the end in mind about specific goals in ways that are low resistance feeling when you say them, a little bit easier for your subconscious mind to accept and a little bit easier for you to say and not feel so adverse to the statement. I love the law of assumption because Neville Goddard used this to create a positive thinking tactic as a method of reframing your outlook. I'll talk about that in next week's episode as well. Neville Goddard is a really influential philosopher that I have read and studied as a result of the teachings of Bob Proctor. He is involved in the Think and Grow Rich book, which if you haven't read that, run, don't walk, and get that book. It's amazing. Adopting this mindset of speaking things into existence and speaking with the end in mind and believing that things are already done can actually help you gain a lot of confidence and allow you to have a more positive outlook on life overall. You might say something and deep down you don't believe it, but the more you say things and the more you strengthen this habit of thought, it helps you reframe your mind. So you can say it and not fully believe it, but you just got to keep saying it because one day you're going to believe it and then it's going to be true. What's the harm in doing it? Next, I want to talk about the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. This one I also learned from Bob Proctor. Big shout out to the Proctor Gallagher Institute. This one states that energy is constantly evolving or fluctuating. So if we think about the fact that everything is energy and like attracts like, then your energy is always moving towards high vibration, which is positivity, or low vibration, which is negativity. That's why we talk so much about our emotions and our feelings, because you are either thinking and feeling positive emotions or you're thinking and feeling negative emotions. Obviously, sometimes you can be a little bit more neutral, but you're always going to be leaned in one end of the stick more than the other. It's just about your ability to recognize it and get out in front of it. So something that I have really strengthened within myself and my mindset over the past year is that ability to recognize when I'm in a really negative mindset and changing it as fast as possible and thinking about things in a negative way and then stopping myself and going, the reason that I feel so bad right now thinking about this is because my higher self does not align with this thought process. My higher self does not believe this. Why am I thinking this way? You have to really monitor your vibrational alignment and direct your focus towards better feeling thoughts when you start to head down a negative mental spiral. Doing anything that gets your mind off of the thing that's stressing you out is going to be crucial for your success and your well-being. If you are dealing with a problem and it is making you freak out, whether it's work, relationship, school, financial, anything of the like, if you are dealing with a problem and you cannot get in a good headspace, walk away from it. Go take a nap, go journal, read, get out in nature, meditate, pet a dog, pet a cat, pick a flower, go get a smoothie. I don't know. Do something that makes you feel good. You deserve to feel good. We are here to be happy and to feel good. So do it. That's the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. It's a really good one to know and understand. And I feel like it's not as common as some of these other laws. So I definitely wanted to mention it. Number 5, we have the law of compensation. This one is a little bit tricky. It states that you reap what you sow, and what you give out shall be given back to you. This kind of ties into the same concepts of the law of vibration and attraction, right? Like attracts like, what you put out energy wise, you're getting back energy wise, all of that. People have a more difficult time conceptualizing it because of the fact that it's tied to money, and people don't understand that money is energy. I get it. It's hard for me too. To get back in alignment when you're thinking upstream is how you ensure that you are in alignment with this law and how it operates. Saying to yourself, what is what is. How can I feel different about this situation? For example, with money, I don't have the money to pay my bill for my car this month. If that's what you're experiencing, obviously that is an awful feeling. No one wants to experience that. I get it, but you're not going to die. So take a step back. It is what it is. How can you feel differently about the situation? This is what I would do. Ugh, I can't pay my car payment this month. I'm so embarrassed. What am I going to do? They might take my car. Okay, well, if they take my car, what's going to happen? I'm not going to get to drive it, which would suck. But what are the odds that they take my car before I'm able to get the funds for this? Probably really slim. If they do take my car, at least I'll still be alive. I will still have my well-being and my family and whatever else is positive that I can focus on. Just change your thought process, because you're not going to be able to figure out the answer to how you're going to pay your car payment if you just are freaking out about it and focusing on the lack of your ability to pay the bill. I know it's hard, and I know it sounds like I'm just telling you to ignore your problems. And honestly, to a degree, I am. If you're watching this on YouTube, you see I have my hands up. I don't know, you can believe me or not, but I have a pretty good life, so might as well give it a shot. Something that I love that Abraham Hicks says, that I'm going to just start throwing at you guys nonstop now, is people would rather be right than feel good. I'm going to say that again. People would rather be right than feel good. You would rather be right about the fact that you are aware of where you're at and where it looks like you're going to go based off of these circumstances, rather than just feel good. You have the choice to focus on the bad thing in front of you, or you have a choice to focus on something else that makes you feel good, or do something else that makes you feel good. You choose the former because you'd rather be right than feel good. I struggle with this too, but a lot less lately, because I realize the value behind that and the power behind such a simple statement. I aim to feel good at all hours of the day, no matter what it takes. Truthfully, let your mind run wild with what that looks like for me. But I really do. If I want to do something because I think it's going to make me feel better and I'm going to be able to be more productive and more high vibration as a result of that, I'm going to do it. So you should too. Number 6, the last one that we're going to talk about today, is the law of polarity. This states that everything has 2 poles, which is a positive and a negative one. There are 2 poles to every thought and every concept. Something that Abraham Hicks says that I've already kind of thrown out there is, which side of the stick are you on? Are you on the positive end of the stick of what it is that you're thinking about, or the negative end? So you can't get more money by thinking about the fact that you don't have money. If you want more money and you don't have money, don't focus on the lack of money. Focus on something else. If you can't get to a place where you can think about abundance and feel good and imagine yourself in abundance and feel good, then just think about literally anything else. Think about cookies. Think about flowers and puppies. There's so many fun things you could think about. I could literally name 1,000. I won't do that unless somebody wants me to, but I just feel like hopefully you can recognize that there are so many cool things you could think about. The universe and astrology in general is something that we don't think about enough. There is so much out there. There's so much happening all the time that we're not thinking about or talking about or freaking out about. Realistically, I feel like I need to think a little bit more heavily about the fact that I'm on a planet that's spinning at a rapid pace in accordance with other planets. Then I should think about the fact that I might bomb that sales call later. I mean, come on. When it comes to really anything, you just have to ask yourself, which side of the stick am I on? Am I aligning with hate or am I aligning with love? Am I aligning with the best version of this person or am I aligning with the worst version of this person and we're fighting and we can't stop fighting because I won't stop focusing on how bad they're being? Nobody is responsible for how you feel. Nothing is responsible for how you feel. You are responsible for how you feel. Put yourself on the positive end of the stick and stop wasting your life being miserable and living in hatred and agony and anger and defensiveness and all of these horrible negative emotions that people just love to simmer in. They love it. I love it. I've loved it my whole life. And I'm finally the opposite of that. If I ever feel something bad, I hate it so much, I almost make the experience worse for myself when I have poor emotional reactions to things. I get so upset with myself for having the reaction that I'm more upset about that than I am about what actually happened that caused the negative emotion. I just get so annoyed with myself. I never used to be that way. I used to blame everything and everyone for my problems and be so angry at life and so angry at people. And I never just looked at myself and said, can you chill? Can you just be happy? Can you just focus on the good? Can you just look at the good in this situation instead of looking at what stresses you out or it makes you anxious or what might happen that's bad? What about all the stuff that could happen that's good? What about all that stuff? Why are we not thinking about that? The two ends of the stick that I like to talk about the most that I just mentioned are love and hate / attraction and disconnection. If you're in love, you're in attraction. If you're in hate, you're in disconnection. Alan Watts actually states that the pursuit of a positive experience is itself a negative experience. Being fixated on the need for a positive experience only reaffirms the lack of it, which as a result is ultimately pointing your attention on what you don't have and what you don't want, which is the negative experience. This is what I'm talking about with the two sides of the stick. You want a better job, but right now you don't have the better job. You're so focused on what you don't like about the job because you think, if I focus on this, then I'll focus on getting a new job and that's going to help me. Maybe. But you could get to a new, better job a lot faster if you would just not focus on the parts of the job that you hate. Focus on the parts of the job that are good, that you don't want to focus on, that are more difficult to find. Like the fact that you have one, the fact that you actually have an income, because a lot of people don't. A lot of people are homeless. You're not homeless. That's another one that you can focus on. You have the freedom to leave your job and look for another one. That's a positive. Some people can't do that. That's a really big bummer. They have to work a lot harder to try and feel good about their circumstances than you do. So shut up. People are going to think that I'm so heartless, but I swear I'm not. I've just had enough of my own bullshit over the years, and I want people to feel the same about their own mental chatter that does nothing for them. Reaffirming yourself back into a place of non-resistance is the best way to course correct when you are headed upstream by thinking negative thoughts that are attracting negative outcomes. Saying things like, I know everything is always working out for me. I love that affirmation. I love that because that is such an easy one to say. It's not connected to any one outcome. It's not too specific. It's just very light. I know everything is working out for me because I know that you can think about the times where what looked like a loss was actually a gain in the long run, right? You lost something because it propelled you into something even greater that you never ever knew was going to be out there for you. I know that you have something like that in your life that you can lean into when you're struggling. If you don't, it sounds like you need to look a little bit harder. Emotions are energy and energy cannot be destroyed. It's always about redirecting our energy, redirecting our focus, redirecting our thoughts based off of what we're feeling and what those thoughts are creating within our emotional home and our vibrational frequency so that we can raise our vibrational frequency, rise up above the challenges and the negativity and the low vibrational emotions that hold us in lack and limitation and doubt and all things that we don't want. Rise above those things as much as possible so that we can live in alignment with our higher source and attract the best possible life for ourselves. It is so worth the effort. It is so worth the discipline over your thinking and the discipline over what you allow into your life, whether that's people, environments, circumstances, habits that you feel would impact you in a positive way, whatever it is. I hope that you'll find the discipline and the belief within yourself to do that so that you can live in alignment with your true self and just be as happy as possible because it is so worth the energy and so worth the commitment to Be 100% dedicated to feeling good. That is the key to life. You want my answer to how I live a happy life? I make sure that I feel good all the time. That is not an exaggeration. If I think something and I feel bad, I'm immediately like, no. It's hard to explain, but anytime I go down a bad path, even if it's thinking about something that I know that I should be worried about or that I should at least be cognizant of, but I'm thinking bad things, I'm just like, no, that would never happen to me. My inner being feels bad when I think that, which means that it's not in alignment with who I am and where I'm meant to go. So why am I thinking about it? That's the thesis. I love you guys so much. If you're listening all the way to the end of this, you are a real one. And I'm excited for you because you're going to go places, my friend. And I appreciate you for your support and your time and your energy. I hope that I left you feeling lighter than before. I am sending you so much love, light, and positivity. I can't wait to have our chat next week. Stay tuned and feel free to leave any feedback, thoughts, comments, concerns, questions on any of the platforms. If there's something I can do to help you change your mindset, help you step into your higher power, let me know. I'm here for you. And I love you. Bye.